Welcome to Bible Shorts, Episode 2. Sarai's Idea. Remember last episode, we met a man named Abram and his wife Sarai, who lived in northern Mesopotamia. And God spoke to Abram repeatedly, making these big promises, saying he was going to bless him. He wanted him to leave his father's house, go to a land he was going to show him. He was going to make him a great nation. He was going to give the land he was going to show him to his descendants one day. And the months and the years go by, but Abram and Sarai had no children. But Abram trusted in God's promise, and God was pleased with that. But again, the months and the years and the days go by, and still Sarai bears Abram no child. Can God keep his promise? But Sarai had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar, and one day Sarai went to Abram and said, "Listen now, since God has prevented me from having children, take my Egyptian slave girl, Hagar, and go with her. Maybe we will have children that way." Sarai brings Hagar to Abram and gives her to him as a second wife. And you guessed it, Hagar gets pregnant. She conceives. And as soon as she realizes that she is conceived, Hagar looks with contempt at Sarai, and her mistress counts for nothing in her eyes. Uh-oh, there's going to be trouble, right? Sarai goes to Abram and says, "May this insult to me come home to you. It was I who put this slave girl in your arms, and as soon as she found out she had conceived, I count it as nothing in her eyes. May God judge between you and me." In other words, fix this. "Very well," Abram said. "Your slave girl is at your disposal. Treat her as you think best." Sarai accordingly treated her so badly that Hagar ran away from her. But then an angel of the Lord met Hagar near a spring in the wilderness, a spring on the road that leads from Canaan to Egypt. Hagar, slave girl of Sarai? Where did you come from? Where are you going? And she replied, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." And the messenger said, "Return to your mistress. It's going to be okay. Get along." And he said, "You're going to bear a son, and you shall call him Ishmael. God has listened to your cries of distress." So Hagar goes back and bears Abram a son. And Abram names him Ishmael, which means God hears. And the first thing you're thinking is, okay, is this make the promise? Is the promise done now? You know, Abram has a son now, right? Well, it's not exactly what God had in mind. And in fact, the other thing you're thinking is, why did Sarai do this? Well, it turns out in their culture, which is like thousands of years ago, it was a custom that if a wife couldn't have a child, that she would give one of her slave girls or maidservants to her husband so that he could have children that way. But again, this was not what God had in mind, and it's going to cause a big mess. And God, what is God going to do to fix this? To find out, you'll have to watch episode 3, God's Plan.